Good afternoon to one and all. Today's topic we discuss about operating system concepts. All operating systems have certain basic concepts such as process, memory, files, kernel, shell, and pipes. These are the very most important concepts covered during your OS course. Let us discuss one by one in detail. Process. A process is a program in execution state. If you have a process, it will be executed a number of times, then you have to create a child process. A child process can be created by using fork system call. Fork is a function to create a child process. It has an unique ID associated for each and every process for identification purpose. That ID called as the process ID. Each process has an address space in the memory. With the process can read and write operations are going to be taken place. This address space contains the executable code, program's data, and its stack. All the written addresses are placed on the top of the stack. If you want to perform pop operation, you have to retrieve the values from the stack. If you want to insert the values, you have to use the push operation onto the stack. Also, each process has some set of registers, means your memory address register, memory data register or buffer registers, program counter, including the stack pointer and other hardware registers. All the information need to run the program will be maintained by these registers. Means you have, consider you are using a 8086 or Pentium processor, you have to use all 16-bit registers or otherwise 32-bit registers. If your word length of the computer is 64-bit, you have to use 64-bit size registers. Next, coming to the memory. All the executions of the processes are held in the main memory of the computer. Means your process just once created, that process will be executed in the main memory. That is the responsibility of OS to allocate the main memory. Once the program is created, the memory allocation is possible. For example, two processes wants to execute at the same time. One must be in the main memory, other process must be in the secondary memory or backup store, backing store or backup devices. All operating systems allows multiple programs to be executed, but by following one principle that is called as a only one program or process must be in the memory at the same time. Other process must be in the waiting state. Many computers have addresses of 32 or 64 bits nowadays, giving an address space of 2 to the power of 32, 1 MB or 2 to the power of 64 bytes respectively. Always your address bus indicates the size of the memory. Whenever the memory is up to the limit or up to the size, then program execution is faster. Entire operating system, the OS, first and foremost thing as allocation will be done by the memory allocation will be done by the operating system, and CPU execution time and memory requirements. These two are the crucial role play in the operating system, memory and CPU. Memory means to store the data and programs to execute that one. CPU means to execute that particular process in the memory, you have to use the CPU or processor, central processing unit. Always the CPU indicates the speed limits by means of MIPS or flops. MIPS means million instructions per second. Per second, how many number of million instructions are going to be executed? That's the speed of a CPU. And flops, floating point operations per second, FLOPS. Flops means floating operations per second. MIPS stands for million instructions per second. Means if you want to execute all those instructions by means of CPU with the available main memory. Without main memory, you can't perform any execution operations. Virtual memory is existed, already explained previous basic concepts, because the main memory address space is very small when compared to the program size. Then automatically you have to move the program into the disk. From the disk, some part of the program will be moved to the main memory. Swapping operation is taken place in case of virtual memory. With this virtual memory, you can increase the multi-programming capability, because it will move on the processes from main memory to the disk to the main memory, vice versa. Swap in and swap out operations are taken place. This memory, virtual memory, will be performing faster execution of all the programs without any pending processes in the memory. That's why virtual memory plays a vital role in the memory management. Coming to the next concept, files. A file is a collection of related information that's stored on a secondary storage, or a file is a collection of logically related entities. From user perspective or from user point of view, a file is the smallest allotment of logical secondary storage. Means simply, a file is defined as a collection of related information stored in a secondary storage or hard disk. A file is a sequence of bits or bytes or set of lines or based on records. If you want to consider a programming language, it is a sequence of lines. If you want to consider a database language, set of records will be there, whose meaning is defined by the file creator or owner. You are called as the owner of the file. All the files, the data in the file must be in a permanent way. Even the power is switched off, the contents may not be erased. That's why a file holds permanent data. Most operating systems have concept of directory. A directory is a group of files together. It have multiple files can be placed in a single directory. It can even have a set of directories also inside of them. In Windows, we call these directories as folders, because Windows provides graphical user interface. Hence, all the folders are in hierarchical tree structure. Root directory followed by the parent directory, then subdirectories, least level as leaf directories or leaves. I will show the files by a directory structure as a hierarchical tree structure. Once go through this diagram, root directory. Again, this root directory will have student and faculty. So two subdirectories are there. Again, student, your names you have to put. Some Robert, Matty, Leo, these are the student folders or student directories. Again, faculty, Professor Brown, Professor Green, Professor White. Again, Professor Brown will have some of the subdirectories, courses, papers, grants, and committees. Again, courses, you have CS 101, 105. Least level, at this subdirectories level, papers, grants, committees, these are the files. This is a inverted tree structure. Normally in your daily life, the root will be at the bottom, leaves will be the upper side, but in case of your OS, it maintains inverted tree structure. Root will be the top. From that root, you have branches. You have the parent directories, then subdirectories, followed by sub-subdirectories. Least level, you have the files. This represents your Unix or Linux. Both operating systems will follow this hierarchical tree structure. It resembles like a tree. That's why I call it as a tree structure. Least level or leaf level, all are the files. Means least level you cannot be further be divided. All the files are placed in the leaf level. And various file operations you have to perform on the files are, you have to first of all create the file. Means empty file will be created. If file descriptor equal to null or not equal to null, then only you have to open a file. First of all, empty file. You want to write something to the something you have to write into that file. After writing the data, you have to retrieve the contents from the file. That is the read operation. First of all, if you want to create a file, first of all, open in write mode only. Some data will be stored into the particular file. After that, you have to read the file, append the file, truncate the file, delete the file, and rename the file, copy the contents from one file to another file. All are the various file operations performed by the files. All these operations are supported by the operating system. With the help of OS, you can create the file, you can modify the file, delete the file. Every operation carried out by the operating system itself. It have every file within the directory have a some path name. That path name will be from the root directory to subdirectory, subdirectory, and the least level file name. You have two types of paths. One is absolute path and relative path. Absolute path means from starting to the leaf level. That is called as the exact path. Relative means only current directory. The path of the file CS101. Once go through the previous slide. Path of 101. You have faculty, Professor Brown, courses, then CS101. That is the absolute path. Slash faculty slash Professor Brown, courses, CS101. Then this is the path in Unix. Same faculty, Professor Brown, courses, CS101. Faculty is a subdirectory, Professor Brown is a subdirectory, courses. Then leaf level or least level as your CS101. This is your file name. It is represented in MS-DOS like this. In Unix, you have to represent the path like this. Means before you have to open the file, read the data, or write something data to that file, you have to some integer value will be assigned to a file descriptor. That should be 0 or -1. If 0, the file will be created. -1, negative value, the file may not be created. The access will not be, the access is prohibited, means the user may not able to create the file. Otherwise, even though if it is a creation error, it will throw an exception like file not found exception. Error code is returned. That file is not available in that particular path. That is called as the file not found exception or error code generated by the operating system. The OS itself generates an error messages through all the users whenever some hardware failures are there or some software problems will be occurred. During that time, it will generate an error message. File not found, or unable to create the file, or file descriptor error, or unable to open that particular file. Those are the error messages generated by the file management system. This is regarding files. Next concept as kernel. Everybody know in Unix operating system, you have the kernel, shell, and some users will be there. Kernel is a computer program. It's the core of every computer's operating system with the complete control over everything in the system. Entire control will be in the hand of kernel itself. Kernel controls all essential computer operations and provides the restrictions to hardware access and coordinates all executing utilities and manage resources between the processes. Using kernel only, user can access the utilities provided by the operating system. The heart of the operating system, you are called it as a kernel. Kernel is the heart of an operating system. With that heart, it will perform all the responsibilities or all the functions of OS can be carried out by the kernel itself. It manages following functions. First one is process management, file management, IO management, memory management, device management. These are the separate units. These are the separate units. These are the separate units explained by each and every unit. Process management, file management is one more chapter. IO management, memory management, device management, these are discussed in separate. Next concept, coming to the next concept, shell. A shell is a special user program which provides an interface between user and an operating system services. Your OS will be an interface between your user and the hardware. A shell acts as an intermediary or interface between user and an operating system services. OS will provide several services. All these services are acts as an your shell acts as an interface between the user and its services. It accepts the human readable commands from user and converting them into something which kernel can understand. It is a command language interpreter or command interpreter that executes commands read from the input devices such as keyboards or from files. The shell gets started when the user logs into its terminal. Everybody know you have the terminal in Linux operating system or in Ubuntu. Then you have the dollar prompt. The dollar prompt is called as a shell prompt. The shell accepts the commands from the user, whatever the command you have to type, and it will be translated to the meaningful form of understandable form of the kernel. Then the kernel will process that instruction, and again the result will be forwarded to the shell. The shell will display the output to the screen. For example, dollar, this is the shell prompt. This dollar $ls. LS stands for all the list of all the file names available in your current working directory. Now shell acts as an interface between user and its OS. Then you have two types of categories in shells: command line shell and graphical shell. Your MS-DOS will follow the command line shell. $, LF, MKDIR, DIR, some CP. Those are the command line shell. Graphical shell, you have to click on all the folders, again click on the subfolders, files will be displayed, everything will be carried out by the graphical shell in Windows or Linux operating system. All other latest operating systems will follow the graphical shells. And various types of shells in Unix operating system are Bourne shell, Korn shell, C shell, Bash shell. These are the four types of shells available in the Unix operating system. Just go through this diagram. Central level as the hardware layer, next level as the kernel, then shell. Utilities. Utilities are the user wants to enter some commands to the shell. Those commands are called as utilities or user programs or user instructions or user entered commands. See, bash, BSH, bash shell, CSH stands for C shell, KSH stands for Korn shell. These are the user entered commands. Cat to display the contents of your file or to create an empty file to enter the data to that particular file. Cat command. VA is an editor to enter the data to that particular file. Visual editor. Some more as LS. Word get WZT. These are the commands given by the user itself. What are the user entered commands will be processed by the shell, supplied to the kernel will fetch the results and supply to the shell. Again from the shell, the user will fetch the results. Hence it is called as a command interpreter or command processor. Means for each and every shell will execute only one command at a time. It may not accept more than one command. For example, you consider C shell or bash shell or Korn shell, whatever may be the SH shell. That shell will be accept only one user command. For that command, it will be processed and it displays the result. $ls, list of files. $cat, some content you have to enter to that file. Cat F1. $date, date means to display the current date. Today's date have to be displayed. Dollar calendar, CAL. Calendar of this current month only displayed. CAL means, for example, if you want to get the entire year calendar, CAL 2020. Among that only particular month, CAL 8/2020. August month calendar will be displayed. All are the utilities given by the user. Now the exact definition will be: shell acts as a user interface between your kernel and the user. Kernel is the part of the OS. All the operating systems services will be provided by this kernel only. That's why you are called it as shell acts as an interface between kernel and the user, or acts as an interface between user and the OS. Finally, it gives the results of user entered commands. They are called it as a coming to the next concept as pipes. A pipe is a connection between two processes such that the standard output from one process becomes the standard input of other process. Means the output of one process is fed back to the some other process. That is called as a pipe. A pipe is a fixed size buffer. Usually at least 4096 bytes of data will be transferred from one process to the other process, mainly used in inter-process communication. In Unix operating system, pipes are useful for communication between related processes. That is, two processes wants to share a common data or some code. The data sharing is possible with the help of a pipe. A pipe is a one-way communication. Only if you can use a pipe such that one process can write to the pipe, other process read from that particular pipe. It is simply a virtual file. Pipe is also known as a virtual file. For example, similar to your pipe in your home, you have a tap. First of all, you have to fill the tank. That is the write operation. You have to write something to that pipe. Once it fills, again you have to open the tap and get the water. That is the read operation. Always something you have to place into the pipe by one process. Other process can retrieve that particular data. That is the best tool for inter-process communication. Means when two processes wants to share a common data or some code or some file or some memory area, whatever it may be, within that memory you have to use some pipes. With the help of pipes, you can share the data between two processes. One is a write system call, second one is the read system call. Write function and read function. With the help of write, you have to put some data to that particular pipe. After that, write operation is completed, read operation is going to be executed. The second process wants to fetch the data from that particular pipe. With this today's session, I want to conclude now. The basic operating system concepts are process, memory, files, kernel, shell, and pipes. These are also again covered in your coming units. This is the basic introduction chapter. With this, I want to end up this session. Any more doubts in today's session? Any more doubts in today's session?